right, so April and I were talking about oil. Again, oil, baby, lubricants, engine oil, behaviors, environments. So April asked a great question, said, did we have oil consumption in the Sequoia at the oil change? And I said, yes, about a half a quart, 4,000 miles. I said, it probably would not have had a half a quart of oil consumption in the last 1,000 miles of the 4,000 mile oil change if we weren't beating the snot out of this at highway speeds over 60 miles an hour for the last 2 weekends.
More than that, we've been using this ever since the
Well,
black truck
it's been
blew
the
up.
most abused in the last 2 weekends.
You think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's as much as my experience, knowledge, speaking that this is the case. If we continue our normal driving routine, I don't believe the Sequoia would have had a half a quart of oil consumption in 4,000 miles. That's facts. What this is moving on to is as the world gets back to normal, before COVID, right? Before COVID, people were driving, people weren't working from home, they weren't mass exited from their professional buildings, they're home. Now their car's sitting, right? They don't need oil changes or repairs and maintenance as much as they did prior to COVID. And there's still, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people worldwide who are no longer in the office and commuting to work via gasoline-powered vehicle. Make sense?
Yeah.
So we still have a huge working class of people who are not driving every day like they used to. Therefore, they're not consuming auto repair like they used to. And this is just my science that has, we're talking pre-COVID to COVID to after COVID to after COVID. We still have hundreds, if not thousands, of professional buildings that are for sale, for lease, and completely empty. And people are working from home, including government employees who are now asked to come back to work for many reasons. So how does that affect myself, you, and everyone else? Well, if you're not driving your car, what's the chances on you need an oil change? Right? You're not commuting an hour or two every day. So that affects the auto repair industry. Your tires are less likely to wear out, more likely to dry rot and crack. And you won't know that because you barely have driven your car and taken it in for service because you haven't needed an oil change in a year or two. Now that consumer who has that car, be it newer or older, doesn't probably know the quality of oil in the car, and it's probably getting near time to change the oil, or they recently got a job to where they have to go back into the office, and now they're starting to drive and they need to get an oil change. They don't know, for one, most people have no idea what quality of oil is in their vehicle, let alone what weight of oil goes in their vehicle. And that is a pantry full of spices oil today, right? I'm going to use that. There's oil, walls of oil in different weights and grades, and it only is getting larger by the year. Now you have 08 and 06 and 0 whatever, zero weights to nothing. And every vehicle,
That's what I want our
you had 10 different vehicles, it's 10 different blends and 10 different filters and 10 different quantities of oil. The customer typically doesn't know other than I need an oil change and how much is it, right? Years ago, you used to be able to say, well, one oil change fits all, and now that's out the window. But, and now that customer who's been driving his older car, who hasn't been driving it, is now driving it a lot, and he thinks that a 10,000 mile oil change is good, or a 5,000 mile oil change is good. And then when he comes in for service, or she comes in for service, ooh, that looks like a fantastic spot, that we have to tell them that their engine's burning oil. It's not leaking oil, it's coming out the tailpipe invisible to you. And if they didn't come in too late, right? If they didn't come in too late, sometimes that oil consumption is reversible. But if the customer is not aware of that, then how do you communicate that to them? Well, you have to check their oil, and you have to say that your vehicle today is a constant chemistry set test, right? And it's based on conditions, usage, and the quality of oil. So what you used to be accustomed to was good for you while you weren't driving so much. COVID, you were going to the grocery store and to the doctors and the pharmacy and maybe, to school, and that's it. You're no longer making them long commutes. Therefore, your knowledge of oil and the oil consumption or oil usage is completely on a different spectrum when you get in your car and start driving it every day. And if you're an aggressive driver, it needs to be looked at more carefully and cautiously. If you're not an aggressive driver, again, it needs to be measured and tested. Not every vehicle is the same. Not every engine oil is the same. Not every driver's environments and conditions are the same. And the majority of the population are in the I'm abusing my car every day situation,
Right.
which takes your 10,000 mile advertised oil change, which is complete lies, down to a 5,000 mile or less oil change interval. Facts. You can look that up. You can call your dealership and tell you the same thing. Under normal conditions, it is potentially possible you could go 10,000 miles. And the Oil Geek was testing that, and his engine oil dipstick said, "Hey, Oil Geek, we don't like a 10,000 mile oil change. You're leaving deposits and sludge behind." So now I'm sure that was an eye opener for him, and he's going to question what he's been testing. And every oil change needs to be tested visually, tested at all the spectrums of operation. So for us, I don't think we're going to not drive the Sequoia at high miles per hour at long periods of time above the speed limits. Probably not going to happen since we're using this for our road trips on the weekend. And this has got to be a 6,000 pound vehicle with rims and tires and stereo equipment, and we're beating the snot out of it.
At least you're honest. Probably not.
But when April drives it on her short stops to the grocery store and shopping, she's really not going anywhere. So I would never expect it to burn oil under her operations of the vehicle in 4,000 miles. But now that you have two different environments of abuse being exposed to the engine oil and the vehicle, you're going to have a different outcome. Thanks for watching.